Hey everybody, Mike here. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a new video. Well, you probably heard that before on my channel. I know it's kind of my catchphrase by now. I mean, channel has been up for 10 years and I think I made something like 1,500 videos, right? So it is what it is. I guess it's here to stay. Anyway, thank you guys for stopping by for a very important video. What we're going to be talking about is how to continue your business as a 3D artist. Now you're probably saying, what do you mean continue? Well, there are some threats out there and you need to be prepared to make sure that you can continue to be a 3D artist. Now, let me lay it out for you. If you are a freelance artist, then you know that every hour you make is not billable, right? And by billable, I mean asking money for it. Because you can't send an invoice for the time you're driving to a client, from a client, looking for clients and so on, right? So if you work 60 hours a week, maybe if you are really efficient, you can bill 40 hours and 20 hours you cannot, okay? So you're making your money that way. The problem is there are some threats out there that are putting pressure on the amount that you can ask for your projects. One, and that's been around for a while, is low-wage countries, and as a result, cost of their project being quite low. And two, of course, is artificial intelligence, right? AI is a thing now, it's here to stay. It can create 3D models in seconds that would take you 80 hours to make, right? So is that a concern? It definitely is a concern, and you need to deal with it. Now, you might say, well, the thing is, I'm not a freelance artist. I work for a studio, so I don't have that problem. Well, wrong. I think you do. And let me explain. There's a trend where studios more and more tend to hire people on a project base. If you're working in the entertainment industry especially, if you're working on a movie or if you're working on a game, you're hired for the duration of their project or for part of their project. And chances are that they will say, thank you, I'll call you again when I have another project. So what are you going to do in the meantime? Look for another job, right? So it's critically important that you have some side revenue, or if you don't know that phrase, you need to make money on the side. And that's something that I talked about in a previous video where we talked about laser engraving and cutting and that kind of thing. And that is basically an output of skills you already have. If you are able to create digital content, then you can put that on a laser cutter, right? Now, even more so with 3D content, because we're talking about 3D printing here, all right? So how do you make money 3D printing? Well, there are a lot of consumer markets where people go out and buy parts for whatever they need it for, right? I'll give you an example. Remote controlled cars, boats, helicopters, and that kind of thing. Tons and tons and tons of parts. And these parts are tiny, they're plastic, and they are very expensive. They have to go out to these RC stores and go out and buy them. And a little plastic cog, I don't know, they might have to pay 20 bucks for it, right? Or even more. Now, fact of the matter is, if you print it yourself, you can probably print it for 20 cents, okay? So there's a massive margin there. Now, that's true if, and there are a couple of ifs here, right? You have a 3D printer that does what it promises. You have a 3D printer that doesn't shut down every 5 minutes because there's a problem. Now, to that point, this channel has been up for 10 years. I made about 1,500 videos, and you're probably wondering whether I have ever did a review on a 3D printer. I have not, never. Why not? Because I always thought they were a bit gimmicky, right? They were flimsy, they had a whole bunch of problems, you had to put them together like an IKEA package with a manual in Chinese, that's one page. A freaking nightmare, right? I actually got a 3D printer at some point. A company sent it to me and I refused to do a review on it because it was simply right? Now, all of that changed with Bambu Labs, and that's a printer I have. I have a BambuLab XC-1. It's a carbon version, with an AMS module. And the AMS stands for Automatic Material System. That allows me to put 4 filament rolls in at the same time, and that allows me to do multicolor printing. Now, if you focus on the consumer market and you already have the skills to model in 3D, it's a no-brainer that you would choose something like that for your side business, right? And like I said, the profits are massive. You already know how to model, printing is a breeze, and if you have a Bambu machine, then operating that is a breeze as well. It comes with Bambu Studio slicing software, which took me about, I would say, 20 minutes to figure out, and I never saw it in my life, and I never really did any 3D printing either, so that's not an issue. And the machine that I got basically does everything itself. Auto heating, auto leveling, auto filament feed or unfeed. Super good quality, completely enclosed, not one of those do-it-yourself frame type deals with wires sticking out everywhere. Looks like a mini fridge basically, right? And yeah, installing, so unboxing and installing the whole thing, again, took me like 20 minutes. It's basically removing a couple of transport screws that they put in to hold everything in place so it's not banging around during transportation, and you know, connecting a couple of cables. That was pretty much it, right? Now, I did a couple of test prints already. To give you an idea, one of those, I think it's Black & Decker Workmate or whatever it's called, they got these little pegs in it that clamp your workpiece. Now, what happened is I broke one. So I went online and I wanted to order one of these, and if I recall correctly, they were like, what, $6-7 a piece. Well, I only needed one, but I had to buy 4, so that's $28 plus shipping, right? So we're looking at $30+ for something where I only need one. I printed 5 of them yesterday, and it cost me about, what, 50 cents? So imagine selling those, right? Massive, massive profit. And once you have made the model, and once you have them sliced up and set up in Bambu Studio, it's ready to print whenever you get an order. So it's awesome, okay? Okay, so the whole unboxing process, like I said, was a breeze, and the printing process itself is very easy as well. So what I want to do next is I want to jump into Maya. I want to create a model, and then I'm going to set it up as an STL file. We're going to take the STL file, we're going to bring it into BambuLab Studio, and we're going to slice it, and we're going to send it to the printer, and we're going to print it. So here we go. Alright, so we are in Maya. Now, I am going to use a model that I already have, but we're in Maya because I need to explain a couple of things. And I will do a separate video on this, on how to prepare a model for 3D printing. But whenever you create something that you want to 3D print, first of all, you need to be able to export it as an STL file, right? Now, if you don't see that option, you need to turn it on. So if you go up to Windows, Settings, Preferences, and you go to the Plugin Manager, and then you look for STL, okay, you see STL-translator.mll. These two need to be checked. If not, you can't save as an STL and you can't open an STL, right? So that's one prerequisite. You need to do that. Okay. So once you've done that, you need to make a model, and that model needs to be able to be 3D printed. Now, 3D printers like models that are one big chunk, preferably, right? Unless you're going to print separate objects, of course. But if you had a table, just as an illustration, right? Let's say you have a table, and the table has legs, okay. So what you would do is you would create a couple of legs, and then you would scale it down and pull it up. You get the drill, yeah? And then you would move them to the corners and so forth. Now, the problem with that is if you just group this together, they're separate objects, and the printer wants to print it as one object. So you would say, okay, well, instead of grouping it, I'll go up to Mesh and Combine. And that would usually fix the problem. But it's better to not use this as a separate object, but to extrude it from the tabletop, right? Now, like I said, I'm going to address that in a separate video. For now, let's say that this thing is what we want, which it isn't, because like I said, I've been using another model, but let's say it is. You would select this, you would go through the normal drill, which is edit, delete by type history. You're going to go to modify and center pivot. Where is it? Right there. And there's also three things you can do right here, which is the same thing, right? So if you click this, freeze transformations, you click this, and it's deleted by type history, and you click this, and it's a center pivot. If you have these three, then you can go to File, and we're going to go to Export Selection. And I should be able now to export it as an STL, and there you have STL export. You name your file and you save it. Okay, that's that. Okay, so let's jump into Bambu Studio. All right, well, as you can see, we're in the BambuLab Studio, and yeah, if I exported that file out of Maya, I would now have gone up to File and go in here to Import, and then I would select my STL. And you can actually import an OBJ as well, but just saying, yeah. Okay, now this is not going to be a Bambu Studio tutorial, and again, if you want me to do that, let me know in the comments. But what we're going to do in this case is we're going to grab a free file that we can get off of the Maker platform. So I'm going to click on the little house thing here, and that's one of the other benefits. There is a huge community online. So yeah, there are a lot of models that you can get for free, and it's a lot of fun. We're going to click on more, so we're going to see all of them, yeah. And for the purpose of this video, we'll choose something simple, right? I don't want this to be a thing that takes forever. So let's try and find something that's small and easy to print. And potentially also useful. For example, this thing looks pretty massive, and that would be a bit much. How about one of those battery cases? AA battery storage. That seems pretty straightforward. Okay, an indication of a 2-hour print time. And it says it can be printed on X1 carbon. These are other models, so that's the one we're going to go with. And yeah, here is a photo of what it would look like, and it all looks good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this up in Bambu Studio. That's how easy it is, right? So let's do that. Yeah, do I want to import it? Yes, I do. It's loading. All right, so it's loaded. So now if we look around, you can see that we're in orthographic mode. It shows the object. And if I don't like that mode, let me make this larger. I can go up here to view, and I can go to perspective view, if that's what you like. But it can be tricky because you can miscalculate whether it's sitting on a plate right or not, okay? So I'm going to go and leave it at orthographic, although when I'm modeling I usually never do, but that's beside the point. So we're going to go to view, we're going to go to orthographic view, okay. Now it's centered on the plate, as you can see. And I'm looking to see if there are any supports needed. Is there anything floating in midair or that has an open gap or something like that that I need to deal with? Yes. Down here you have these openings, right? This would basically, it would have to print this in midair, and it couldn't. And on the front there's an opening as well. So we need to address that. Now the cool thing about BambuLabs is it will do that for me. Right, and I hear myself saying Bambu Labs. I think it's Bambu Lab, right? Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with the preparation of the file. It's loaded, it's centered, it's on the plate. Now, before you start here, you need to prep the printer. the printer needs to have the cold plate in it, right? And I have that in. And people prep the plate with a glue stick. Now you're probably wondering why, because it should stick to the plate without the glue. But funny enough, the glue helps you to get the model off of the plate when it's actually done printing, because otherwise it would be too firmly on it and you would basically have to break it off, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to start with prepare, then we're going to go to preview, then we're going to go to device, then we're going to go, and so on. So the printer, well, mine is already linked up, so here it is. I'm going to leave that alone. Plate type, I want the cool plate. Well, I'm printing with PLA, yeah. I want the green, yeah, bamboo, there you go. Leave this alone, it's all standard. As far as the quality, I'm going to leave all of that alone. Like I said, this is not a detailed tutorial. Strength, 3 walls is a bit much, but yeah, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at 3, okay? Here are all sorts of settings that you can set for the top and bottom shell, and it kind of depends on what you're going to use it for. Is it something that's going to have a lot of stress on it, a lot of weight on it? If so, you can decide to have more wall loops. You can have make the top and bottom shell stronger. The fill-in, which is a cross grid, you can have the density higher, and that's how you can control that. If you do that, you will use more material and the print will take longer, just so you know. Now here, the supports. The cool thing is, I click on Enable Support, and I'm done. So this whole issue of this is floating, and what do I do, and where do I put it, and all that, I click on the button right here, and I basically say, do that automatically, right? So from here, what else is there? Well, if we go to device, you'll see that my printer is turned on, and if I click on this guy, we'll be able to actually look inside the printer. And there you have it. This is the inside of my printer. How cool is that, right? I got green filament on position 1, okay? And let's load that. Just click on load. And you can see that the printer is moving live as we speak. And there's always a situation where things need to preheat, okay? So right here you see the temperature is rising here and here, and we'll give that a bit. That usually takes, I would say, about 8 minutes or so. But for now, we're going to go back to our preview. Prepare, sorry. Preview, sorry. And this is what it would look like. So it would be printed, and then this would be the supports. So this and this, right? Now I chose green, so don't be mistaken here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go and select this plate, and it's already sliced. So we're going to hit, and slice is basically clicking here, so everything's prepped. We're going to click on print plate. Okay. Now, right now, I need to choose what setup I want. It's going to take 2 hours and 5 minutes. The whole weight is about 65.78 grams. Okay. I want bed leveling, flow dynamics, all of that checked. The printer, of course, which is set. Time lapse, I turned that off. What you can do with time lapse, if you put a SD card in the printer, it will record through the camera that's in there a time lapse of the entire print. Kind of neat, right? I'm going to leave that off because I don't have an SD card in there. So I'm all happy with that. Let's see. We're going to click on send. Let's see what happens. So it's sending the print job through the cloud service. Okay, successfully sent. It will automatically jump to the device. Well, there you go. That's what I said in the video. This is so simple and so easy. It does basically everything for you, right? Now you get a period where the temperature is now going down to 75. And it's preheating the heat bed. So we're going to wait for that. And yeah, once it's all done, it will basically give me a message. I'll just wait until you can see the printing in progress, and I'm not going to record the 2 hours, don't worry. You can see that he's doing his thing, and I don't really know exactly everything he's doing, but that's the cool thing about this device. I don't care. It's like hitting a light switch. The light goes on, that's all that matters, right? Alright, well, here's the end result, the battery display, dispenser, whatever you want to call it. And yeah, that concludes this video. So in summary, I would say that 3D printing is most definitely a viable business. But the consideration here is your 3D printer has to be fast, it has to be reliable, and of course the quality has to be perfect. If you're going to spend all your time fixing problems, then you're not making any money, right? Okay, that's it for me. Let me know in the comments what you think, if you enjoyed the video, and if you want me to make videos, tutorials in BambuLab Studio, anything like that, STL file prep and Maya, let me know in the comments, okay? Alrighty, long video, but that said, thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.